Welcome to the Chamber Vibes podcast with your host, Brittany Timmons, the Greater Guthrie Chamber of Commerce CEO and President. In this podcast, you will hear from local guests who will discuss topics such as leadership, small business, and our vibrant community. You'll also hear success stories and tips from amazing local businesses, dive into important news, meet community leaders, and find out how you can get involved in our community. From the Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful and historic downtown Guthrie, America, here is Brittany Timmons.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another episode of Chamber Vibes. It's been a little bit since I've been in the studio, so happy to be back in studio today. Or, I mean, it looks like we're outside.
It does.
It does. We're at a very beautiful place.
It's like spring out there.
It does look, and it feels like spring out there.
I like it.
Depending on when you're watching or listening to the episode, it is 75 degrees, and no one would have thought we had the snow apocalypse, ice apocalypse last
Very
week.
true.
So anyway, yes, happy to be back in studio today with my friend Gary Good. And we were trying to figure out, Chris was like, what do we put on Gary? I'm like, all the GaryGood.com just covers it. Because Gary, you have many, many hats.
Well,
You're a jack of all
I
trades.
can't sit still.
I feel that.
I have to be moving. I have to be doing something. And I can get bored. So I like to have a lot of things to do and a lot of variety in life. So
I am
variety
the
is
same
very,
way.
very big in my world.
Right. Okay. So today, I told you a little bit before we got going that I wanted to tell a little bit of your story, and then you joked with me and said we would be here for a really long time.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to the beginning.
We're not going to go back. Not going to go back to the beginning, but I would like to. I would like to find out more about you today. I mean, I've known you for 5 years now that I've been doing the chamber. Actually, I think I even met you before that. But what I like to do on this podcast is to tell stories and to talk about our chamber investors and their businesses and things they have going and things like that. So, how'd you end up in Guthrie? Can you at least tell that part without going? Okay.
Yeah.
Going too far back.
Being self-employed all my life, my father always, and he was as well, he was a big band leader, and my mother was the singer. So picture one of those movies from the 40s, with the orchestra, and my dad was the Ricky Ricardo, and my mom, she wasn't Lucy, but she sang. And so that's what I grew up in, and my dad was on TV, on the very first TV show at WKY, and so I grew up in that world with musicians coming by the house to get their checks from my dad. He was also an agent. And so that was my life, and that's where I really got the bug. I didn't realize it until I got out of college.
Sure.
And during college, I started booking bands.
Okay.
I printed a business card that said rock bands with my phone number. And
Just rock bands, just kept it.
Just rock bands.
Just, okay. Make people go,
And my phone number. And if you found one of those cards today and you called the number, it would still ring on my cell, which is pretty remarkable.
That is.
One of the reasons agents were so much needed back then is because you never could find the musicians. They would move frequently. They would change phones. And when you moved back then, no cell phones.
Right. No social media.
No social media. So when you moved, you couldn't keep the same number. So you'd have to change phone numbers. So mine always stayed the same.
Okay.
You could always find me. So
anyway,
that was my career, and it has been my career. Still do it. Mm-hmm. And
that's the Gary Good Entertainment part.
That's Gary Good Entertainment.
Yes. Okay.
And Speakers Bureau.
Yeah.
And so my dad again emphasized to me, you got to take care of yourself. You don't have a company that you're working for. They're not going to give you retirement. You got to do all that yourself. So I kept my focus on that, and I was ready to make a little investment, like a rent house or something. And something pulled me to Guthrie, and this was in 2005-ish.
Okay.
And I drove up here, and I started walking up and down these historic streets, and just really fell in love with the old buildings and the brick and just everything about it. I really didn't think I could afford a building because I was looking for a small rent house for an investment. But one thing led to the other, and the building where the art gallery is was for sale. And
which is at the corner of Second?
Second in Oklahoma,
yeah.
right on the corner. And Trish Coker was the realtor, and I called, and she showed it to me. She told me the price. I said, well, I really can't afford that. And she said, well, make an offer. I made a low offer.
And there it is, if you're watching on YouTube.
I made a low offer. There's that building.
Yeah.
They didn't take it.
Oh.
They didn't take the offer.
Yeah.
At the time, I was driving this Jaguar convertible that I'd had about all the fun I could have in. And so I thought, well, I called Trish back and I said, tell the guy I'll throw the car in. And,
which is probably a crazy, funny offer, but you went for it.
Well, I did the math and I knew it was still a good deal.
Yeah. There you go.
So she said he wants to see it. So I washed it up, parked it right in front of the door, and it was looking pretty good. He came by, got in the car, drove around the block a few times, came back, and about an hour later, Trish called me and said, you got a deal.
Wow.
Apparently the guy had a bad knee.
Okay.
And that Jaguar, your legs are straight when you're driving. So
it was meant to be.
he was comfortable driving that car with his legs straight instead of bent.
Okay.
Which is a bizarre way to get a building.
I was like, that's a funny story. See, I told you I always learn something new on the podcast. Absolutely. I did not know that. So that's how you got the building?
Yeah, okay. And I still lived in Oklahoma City, out by Frontier City, and wasn't planning on moving to Guthrie. So I would drive back and forth, and I had the main floor for rent. The 2 apartments up above were both rented. The office space in the back was rented. And so it had tenants except for the main floor. And so I was trying to lease that. And I had pretty lofty goals for tenants. I wanted something that really fit the coolness of the building. Mm-hmm. A little naive of me because I turned down a lot of different people, insurance companies and things like that. Finally,
what was your plan with the building?
Investment,
okay,
I
just
did
you
the
didn't
math.
really have like an exact
I did the math,
plan
and I knew that
that
it would turn a profit,
right?
And it would be a good investment,
right? Okay, so to rent it out though,
yeah,
that was your initial
exactly.
thought. Okay,
so it was still empty, and Cherie Gordon told me one day. She said, "Hey, Gary," and we have some mutual friends in the music world, and she said, "We're doing the art walk. They did 2 a year at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you hang some art in your building and be part of the walk?" And I was on the Oklahoma City Arts Commission at the time, and I had been for forever. So I got on the phone and I called Bert Seaborn. He was on the commission with me for a while. We became friends, and I said, "Bert, would you like to come to Guthrie and hang your artwork for the art walk in my place?" And he said, "Sure." So he drove up, him and Bonnie, his wife, and they hung artwork all through the building.
Mm-hmm. And it looks real nice.
It was empty, and people came through, and they loved the art, and it really felt good. Mm-hmm. So the next week, I kind of had the bug, and I called another friend who's an artist, and I asked him if he would be interested, and he said, "Yeah, I'll come up to Guthrie." And so he did, and he sat with me and had coffee and explained to me how art galleries work.
Right.
So I started learning, and I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger. So we opened for business on November 16th, 2007.
Okay.
Do you know what day that was?
Statehood Day. Yeah, it was like 1907.
That was Oklahoma's 100th
centennial.
birthday.
Yeah.
So they had a big parade for us. Can you believe that?
Right by the art gallery.
Day, they had a parade for us, and I think they were celebrating other things as well. But anyway, that was our opening day, and
that's awesome.
We've been open.
What a
now
cool date!
Yeah, very good date. So I can remember that, and we've been open ever since. And
so 18 years this year, right? Yeah, if I did the math right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's been fun, and
it's been Gallery Grazioso.
Gallery Grazioso. I name everything.
Yeah.
I have a thing about names, and I try to honor family when I can. And since our family, my father, including myself, have been in the music business all our life, I was looking for a name that had a musical meaning.
Okay.
And so I got in the dictionary, I started looking, and, there was a lot of words that just didn't work. And I saw the word grazioso, and then I looked up the definition. Well, when you see a sheet of music and it says staccato or allegro or pianissimo, etc. Well, grazioso is one of those words. It's a musical term that the composer uses to tell whoever's playing the piece how they want it to be played. So what's the definition of grazioso? With elegance and grace. So I sent a rough drawing that I did to my logo guy, and I put the Z in the middle of it kind of big. And you wouldn't want to see it. I can barely sign my name, so it wasn't pretty.
I was like, it's a beautiful logo now. Chris just had it on the screen for us.
He sent the logo back, and it was perfect. In fact, the Z looks like a musical.
I was going to say that. It has now that I know that, especially has a musical look to it.
I hate to be boxed in. I don't like to be put in a corner when it comes to what can I do. Remember, I like variety. So the bylines of the gallery, music, photography, and fine art. So we can do any of those things in there. And
sometimes you have all the things in there.
Yeah, we have photographs, we have fine art, and we do live music in there. And we play music that you can hear sometimes when you're walking down the street.
Yeah, I love it.
So that's the gallery.
I love that. So 18 years this year of doing that. And then tell me a little bit about some of the artists that you have in there. The Oklahoma artists?
Well, we do have Oklahoma artists, a lot of Oklahoma artists. We have a show coming up, and I might add here that my wife, Christina, has been running the gallery here for the last almost a year. I guess it has been. And so you'll see her there a lot. You go, and she really does a great job. So we do have a show coming up on March 13th.
Okay.
And we're calling that Spring into Art. Spring into Art. And for that show, I'm going to get the names here. We have Jay Hollabach. Jay moved here from Tennessee. He lives in Edmond, and he's great. He lives on kind of an acreage, and he paints plein air most of the time. And so he'll take his tripod out to the nature, and he has some beautiful, beautiful pieces. And so we'll have him at our show. And another lady who lives in Edmond, Jan Hellowich. And Jan, she also has great outdoor, she does great dogs. She does a lot of commissions where a family will want their dog done.
I was just going to say, I'm going to need her info. I need a Hogan. Hogan dog painting.
She's great at that. And one of our other artists, Ryan Williams in Edmond, is also wonderful at dogs, animals, horses, etc. So she will be there. And then a new artist, she's not a new artist, but she's new to Guthrie. She moved here from La Veda, Colorado, a small town.
Yes.
And her name is Nan McDowell.
Okay.
And so Nan will be at the show, and she has several pieces that will be showing as well.
Awesome.
And then we have a sculptor that's in the gallery already, and his name is John Rule, and he's been selling very well. We're bringing in a bunch of new pieces by John Rule, and so his work will also be in the show. And then we'll have live entertainment in there.
Of course.
And we'll have things to chew on and,
sip on.
Refreshments and so forth.
Yeah.
And it's from 6 to 8 on Thursday, March 13th.
Next, 2 weeks. So awesome. Very cool. Okay, so we covered the gallery.
Yep.
Covered a little bit about how you got into the booking side of music. But then let's talk about Magnolia Moon. That property. So right across the street.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah?
It is.
Let's talk about that property.
And
it's one of my favorites.
That part of the story is how I ended up moving to Guthrie, because I wasn't planning on moving to Guthrie. I liked it, but I had a house in Oklahoma City, and It wasn't very far from here.
Right.
So the plan was not to move. But I had a little office building in Oklahoma City that I ended up selling, and I wasn't planning on it, but those things happen. And so I was trying to figure out what to do. And Trish Coker again had been telling me, you need to come and see this house. I said, well, I'm not looking for a house. I don't want to see the house. But the lots right up by Oklahoma Street, there's 3 lots in between the old trolley building and the bar, what used to be the bar, and those lots were for sale. So I thought, well, that'd be kind of a cool place to have art shows and music. So I called Trish to ask her about that. Again, she bugged me about coming to see the house, and really just to appease her, I said, okay, I'll go see the house. So I met her at the front door. I walked in, and when I saw the grounds, I was like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And walked to the house and was totally taken back. And so my comment now about these kind of things that happen, I believe that our stars line up a lot more often than we think. We just have to be looking up. So I just happened to be looking up and ended up in this amazing place.
Yeah.
And,
were you standing where we are right here?
Just about there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is a beautiful, beautiful
And
space.
as I said, I name everything. And right over here, right over there is a magnolia tree. And people were saying, where do you live when I moved here? And I told them that, they'd say, Joe's Place or the old amphitheater. And I thought, well, I need to name this place.
The old amphitheater doesn't sound very exciting.
Yeah, so that tree, my grandmother had a magnolia tree in her front yard. And it was her favorite tree. It was her pride and joy. So I thought, I'm going to name this place the Magnolia. I'm going to honor my grandma. And so I did. And so I was calling it that. And then about, a few weeks later, a friend came over, and we were standing by the back window looking out. And I said, oh, by the way, I named the place. It's called the Magnolia. And about that time, it was in the evening, about that time, we looked out this window right up above the building there, and there was this beautiful crescent moon. And we both looked at each other and said Magnolia Moon.
Yeah.
So that's how it got its name.
Love that.
And so when I bought it, it was, of course, empty. There was nothing in there, no furniture. And I was single at the time, and it was just me and my boxer, Jewel. So we get to Guthrie, and I bring Jewel in the house, and we're standing there looking around at this empty place, and there was no furniture or anything. So we went to Walmart, and I bought a card table and 4 chairs and a rug. Brought those back to the place, and me and Jewel fought over the rug. Anyway, that's the beginnings of the Magnolia Moon. And
love that.
Being in the music business all my life and growing up in it, for me it seemed like a natural progression to end up living on stage. I walk out of the bedroom every morning and have coffee on stage, which is kind of cool. And I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with the place. It was way too big for one person. I knew for one thing for sure that it had to be shared. I couldn't just keep that for myself.
Right.
That wasn't in the plan. I just wasn't sure what the plan was. So started thinking, and I thought, well, we could maybe do weddings here. And there was a young lady here in Guthrie that she had stopped on the north side of the house on Cleveland and had looked in the door and saw the gardens. And she told her mother, I want to get married there. And her mother, Joy Newton, called me and said, my daughter told me she wants to get married at your place. And I said, really? And of course, I had already been thinking this would be great. So I met them over at the house, and I came in, and they fell in love, and she got married. She was our first wedding.
Awesome.
I think it was July 3rd. It was warm, but we've had about 70 weddings since then, and my own wedding with Christina was there.
Yeah. It's a beautiful spot.
9+ years ago. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we've been doing. We've had anniversary parties. We've had family reunions. We've had various other events. We've done some outdoor concerts, but most of our shows are inside now.
How many actual rooms does Magnolia Moon have?
Magnolia Moon just is a 2-bedroom.
Okay.
It's like 3,600 square feet or so. Of course, it has the tall ceiling in the living room, dining room, kitchen. What used to be the stage is now the living room, dining room, and kitchen all combined.
Right.
And then it goes out into this direction out here. So looking out this way is where we see in the morning from our kitchen area, or from anywhere in the front of the house. So I love light. I love daylight and sunlight, and wow, we have so much of it.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a joy to be there.
Yeah, and then you have the other part of it you would call Guthrie Retreat.
Well, yeah,
and
the building right
other rooms.
The building right next door over here came up for sale, and as fate would have it, it worked out where I could go ahead and buy that. So all of a sudden we had a compound.
Yeah.
And so I selected the name Guthrie Retreat because Joe had turned it into apartments, but I didn't want apartments next door to my house, and I gently let them all move out, in their own time.
Yeah.
And once the building was empty, I went in and decorated, painted, and really dolled it up, and I named that the Magnolia Manor.
That's right.
And so all-encompassing, it's Guthrie Retreat, and that's what our website is.
Right.
So if you go to GuthrieRetreat.com, then you can go to Magnolia Moon,
right.
You can go to Magnolia Manor, and then there's 3 icons on there. There's a piano. So if you click on the piano,
there it is on the screen.
You can see about our music events, our special events, and you can click on any one of those. And the Music at the Moon, which we have on March the 8th coming up, we have the concert here. In fact, if you clicked on the Music at the Moon, that poster is actually on there.
So and how often do you do the live music events?
I try to do one once a month, but I don't do one unless we get somebody we want. I'd rather skip a month rather than to have an artist that we, There's Gary Morris.
Yeah.
Gary Morris was our last concert, and if you haven't heard
I
of
had
Gary
a couple
Morris,
friends attend and say that it was really, really great.
He was the first hit of Wind Beneath My Wings. He won Song of the Year with the CMA Awards, and then he went on to Broadway and did Les Mis, the lead. And so occasionally we get a name like that. Like we had Larry Gatlin, a solo show. We've had Michael Martin Murphy. And, we get to do that. Leona Mitchell.
Yes.
The thing about Music at the Moon, and I like to explain it to people because it's a bit of a different animal. The philosophy that I have is I want to bring music to people here that they're not going to hear down the street. They're not going to drive to Edmond or Oklahoma City or somewhere close by and see the same artist. So we generally bring people from out of town. And we've had a singer from New Zealand. We have Rick Price, who comes from Australia.
Wow.
We have Cristiana Pecoraro, who comes from Italy once a year. And
you have a place for them to stay.
Yeah.
Because it's perfect.
We have a place for them to stay.
So this is like an intimate experience.
Well, it really
when you look at
is.
the pictures and everything. So
it's a listening room. That's the common term for this kind of an event. It's a listening room. It's not really a house concert. I love that concept, but I took that concept and twisted it around and made it fit what I wanted to do. So house concerts, people bring covered dish. I didn't want people to have to bring a covered dish. So we do the food there. So we call it a casual buffet. And then you get there, you have the casual buffet, you visit with friends, and you meet new people. You look around the place. If it's this kind of weather, you look out in the gardens. You maybe go out there. And then after dinner, everybody takes their seat. The lights come down. The stage lights come on, and it turns into a concert venue. And it's a wonderful way to hear live music because the acoustics inside there are phenomenal. So most of the artists that come say this was one of their favorite rooms to play because the crowds are so attentive, the acoustics are so great.
Different experience.
It really is. And
so how many seats can you?
Oh, we say 50 people as a sellout.
Okay.
We can get 60 in there, no problem, but thereabouts.
And you usually fill up?
We sell out pretty much every time.
Yep.
There's very rarely do we not sell out. It's open to everybody. It's not an exclusive thing, but we only have so much room.
Right.
So if anybody wants to be on our email list, that's how we tell people about it.
And chamber members usually get a first look at it.
Yes.
So
you can go to our website, Music at the Moon, and you can sign up to the email list there on the website. So if you want to know more about it, if you want to get notices every time we announce one, just go there and sign up.
Awesome. So do you have seats left for this one?
We have 4 seats left.
Okay. So I was like, that's what I was like. I knew they fill up pretty quickly.
Rebecca Loewe, she was on the first season of The Voice.
Okay.
And,
she does look very familiar to me.
And she's been with us like 3 times, but she hasn't been with us since 2016.
Okay.
And, she's based in Austin, and she's been traveling all over the world. And I call her kind of a cross between a Woody Guthrie and a Joni Mitchell. She writes her own music, tells stories. She's just really, really wonderful.
Awesome. That is awesome. So, and then you have, we didn't go over how many different rooms. How many rooms do you have available?
Well, there's 3 suites in the Magnolia Manor, and 2 of them are 2-bedrooms. And the Maestro Suite, as I said, I name everything. So the Maestro Suite is the large one. I named that one for my dad, the Maestro. And that's like 2,000 square feet.
I think that might be the one I've stayed in.
I think so.
Yeah.
2-bed, 2-bath, and even has 2 bunk beds.
Yes.
Has an outside private patio area.
Kitchen.
Have a piano in there, and it's all Wi-Fi'd and TV and everything.
Yeah.
So
well, I'll give a plug. So one of my best friends lives in Oklahoma City, Yukon area, and said, I want to get married in Guthrie. Can you help me? And I mean, that's all she had to say. It was just a couple of years ago. And so she chose the Guthrie Depot as her venue, and she wanted to do a Gatsby-themed wedding. So it was 1920s decor and outfits and all of that. And she wanted a great place to stay. And so I said, I have a perfect suggestion. And so the bridal party stayed right across the street. And in which one? The Maestro. Yes. And it was perfect. We had the kitchen, and so we could bring groceries for, snacks and breakfast. And we played some games there at the table. And it was just a perfect place. And then we got completely ready, did pictures there, and then just walked across the street to go over to the wedding. So it was awesome.
Hard to beat the
You're right.
proximity and and all that.
So I love that. I know you guys do weddings as well, but if people are wanting to work with Gages and the Depot, you're right there.
Oh yeah,
you guys can all work together.
We send business back and forth all the time, and that's the thing I love about Guthrie is that we network with each other.
Yeah.
And I still kind of do what I did, but it's a little different here in Guthrie, and we did the first annual Guthrie Christmas concert last year.
Yes, I was hoping I was going to say, if you don't bring it up, I'm going to.
Well, it was a huge success.
Yeah. And that was at the temple?
It was at the Masonic Temple and their beautiful ballroom. And if you haven't been in that ballroom, it was built in the 1920s. It was fashioned after an Italian theater. And you can tell when you go in there, just look around, the decor is breathtaking. And so the Gatlin brothers, Larry had been there for Byron Berline's concert that we did, and he loved the place. And his son got married at the temple.
Oh wow!
And so it means a lot to him. Well, the response was so good that everybody said we need to have them back. So we're going to have them back for the second annual Guthrie Christmas concert.
Awesome.
And it's the Gatlin Brothers Country and Christmas. Now, it was the day after Thanksgiving, and we were planning on doing it that day every year. However, the Gatlin Brothers are part of the Grand Ole Opry. They're having their 100th anniversary.
Oh, kind of a big deal. Yeah.
That night. So the Gatlin Brothers have to be on stage in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry.
Right.
So they had December 12th open.
Okay.
That's the second Friday in December.
Okay.
The night before the
Victorian
Victorian
Walk, so people can come stay all weekend.
December 12th
Yeah.
is going to be our date.
Okay.
And we're shoring up our sponsors at this time. So it's going to be a wonderful time. And if you missed this last one,
I
you
did,
really need
so
to come to this
hoping
one.
I can go. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So awesome. You're doing such good stuff, Gary. So, well, I really appreciate you being on today and getting to know you just a little bit better. Seriously, visit GaryGood.com. Everybody can get a hold of you that way.
That's our
too?
website. That's
Yeah.
my website, or Guthrie Retreat
Guthrie
is
Retreat, right.
is all that we talked about. And Gary Good on Facebook.
Yeah.
Just my regular Facebook page. We have several different Facebook pages, but
And you do so good. Like Gary loves to go live when stuff's going on in town. You do. You just walk around and say what's going on if there's an event, and
I
you're
told
always
you,
trying
I can't
to share.
sit still. I
I
gotta be
know.
doing something.
Well, this is why you and I are friends, because I get it. But yes, Gary, Guthrie's blessed to have you, and I'm happy to call you friend. And thank you for your support of the chamber, and congrats on 18 years of success. And look forward to seeing what else that you continue to do in Guthrie. And yeah, so if you have questions about any of those many hats, whether it be the art side or somewhere great to stay or events or music, Gary is your guy. So definitely give him a follow on Facebook, or visit his website, or reach out to the chamber and we can get you in touch that way too. So grab those last few tickets if you're watching for Music at the Moon on March the 8th. So we look forward to having that event and to your art show in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So yeah, have to get in there and see all of the. Sounds like it's going to be very colorful.
Very colorful.
With spring, yes.
Yes, indeed.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Gary, so
Thank
much.
you.
We appreciate it. And we will catch you all next time for another episode of Chamber Vibes.
Thanks for listening to the Chamber Vibes podcast from Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful downtown Guthrie, America. Be sure and check out a new episode every other Monday. And until then, remember to choose Guthrie.